Mr. Heller, now that your focus is on the Latino community, the Latino part of the music industry, do you think that it would ever get enough force as much as NWA did for you to release a book glorifying the Latino music?
Well, if I live that long, I mean, who the fuck knows? You know? So, I have health issues now at this age myself. But, we'll see what happens. I think, like I say, the Latino movement is the movement of the future. And I think that people will be acknowledging it and writing about it. I think that so far up to this point, I think that locally, people forget that Los Angeles was part of Mexico. I mean, this was Mexico, all the way up to Monterrey. Every street in this city, La Cienega, Ventura, Alvarado, Figueroa, these are all Mexican names. Our mayor was Mexican. Our police chief, our sheriff was Mexican. All of our councilmen are Mexican. People forget that the heritage of this city and the part of this state all the way up to Monterrey is Latino. And so far, the Latino acts that have broken, it just seems that when they become big, they sort of don't want to be Latino anymore. So the biggest artist, Ricky Martin. I mean, Ricky Martin, became white. J-Lo became white, man. So we need, our Latino population to have their own heroes and icons, just like NWA was. That's what the Latino population needs now, and that will be the final straw in building, big Latino stars, so that Latinos can have their own Bon Jovis and their own Bruce Springsteens, and I think that's right around the corner, and I'm there, at the forefront of that particular movement. Okay, so I would like to say a couple of things. First of all, you can't underestimate the importance of NWA. I think that NWA is probably, not only is Straight Outta Compton the most important record of the 20th century, but what they did took up where Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King would have gone as far as race relations go if they wouldn't have been assassinated. I mean, they did more for race relations in this country than anyone except Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King. So, I'm very proud of that period of my career, even though I've been associated with Elton John and Pink Floyd and people like that. There's no period of my career that I'm more proud of than the 8 years from March 3rd of 1987 to March 26th of 1995 when Eazy died, of that period of my life. Here's a guy, who went to the White House. Compton wasn't on the map of the city of Los Angeles. These guys put the map of their hometown on the city. Put Compton on the map. It wasn't even on the map. So, sometime during the first year of NWA, Elle Magazine, which is the most important fashion magazine in Europe, it's like Vogue is here. They did a 12-page spread called Gangster Chic, with 12 pages of NWA. And the way they dressed and wore their hats, and everything else. Every time I go someplace and see, all these white guys wearing their hats sideways and backwards and stuff, I laugh, man. I just laugh, and I just want to say, where did you do that, man? How did you think about that? Because there's not one person I've ever met, especially guys in your age, all the way up to about 40, okay? There is not one person that I've met in that age group that can't tell me exactly where they were the first time they heard Straight Outta Compton. There's nobody that can't. Every single person remembers the first time they heard that record. I mean, this record was a groundbreaking, earth-shattering record that did more than any record had ever before it. And they even though they didn't accomplish what the Beatles had accomplished, I mean, they changed race relations. They certainly changed fashion. Look, I teach a course at UCLA called The Hip Hop Nation from Kingston to Compton. Half of the people that take the course are Asian. A lot of people that take the course are in the fashion business. They're young girls that are going to Fashion Institute and stuff that have felt the correlation between fashion and hip-hop. So what NWA did was incredibly important, and hopefully Pablito Vasquez and I will be part of that movement. I also manage a rock and roll group from Pittsburgh called 28 North, who I think are fantastic. I'm in Nashville now, doing an album with a girl named Leslie Coors Mather, who has one of the greatest voices I've ever heard in my life. Because like I told you, country music is the new pop. And those people, the country fans, they buy albums and they don't just download for free, And the demographic is very widespread. The interesting thing about the history of American music is that there's only two things that have really survived and existed throughout the years. The backbone of American music has always been the church. Whether it was gospel, R&B, whatever you want to call it. The church has always been the backbone of American music. The other thing that's been the other backbone of American music is country western. Country western has always been and will always be the other backbone of American music. And it's funny because really, in both genres, you can understand the lyrics. And basically, country western and R&B are very similar, except for some drum and bass lines, they're very similar. So those have always been the backbones of American music. Anything else that's come along has been temporary. New wave, okay, a couple of years. Punk, a couple of years. Disco. There's a lot of disco, not a lot of disco acts that I like. I like Casey and the Sunshine Band, I like Donna Summer. There are some disco, but disco has no validity, okay? The other thing that has no validity was reggaeton. I knew the first time I heard reggaeton that it was never going to be a valid movement. Did I like Daddy Yankee? Absolutely. Did I like Scientifico? Absolutely. There's reggaeton artists that I like. Did I think that it was a valid musical movement? I didn't think so, and obviously LA didn't think so either, because K-Day was only a reggaeton station for about 3 months, wasn't it? So, obviously it went by the wayside. And normally those things happen in periods of music when nothing really important is happening. And I think that now there is an important movement that's happening. That movement is called Latino hip-hop, both musically and demographically.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Heather. We really appreciate everything you've done for us today as far as the interview. Thank you for all the insight and the Latino community that has been belittled as far as what they're able to bring to the table. Personally, I feel it's time that they become recognized and acknowledged, because there's a lot of people within our community that have so much talent and they're just underexposed.
I know, but they're gonna get their chance now. You know, they're going to get their chance. Now, the next 2 or 3 years, you will see big, big icons come out of the Latino community. I'm not sure who it's going to be yet, because the acts that I represent, the big ones like Calle 13 and Cultura Profetica, have been around for 15 to 20 years. They've been around a long time, and they play stadiums in South America and Latin America. I mean, they sell 60,000 seats down there. And I'm going to make sure that that translates here, and when that translates here, the doors are going to open wide for those guys that are making records in their mother's garages in Boyle Heights, man, in El Monte, in East LA.